an honor for me to be here with this distinguished panel and sit next to my wonderful brother. He's got a sweet spirit. He's got a very subtle intellect. And he's one of the rare members of the professional managerial class, given a disciplinary division of knowledge and Sykes called university, where he reaches out in a genuine way across a variety of ideological, racial, class, political lines, and means it. So we're not just talking about a text here, we're talking about a particular human being who produces the text, and his praxis is at work as he relates to me and the other persons, and all some of you who have been privileged to be part of his world and circle, and then goes on to generate these texts that we call books and things. And of course, it's inseparable from Sister Maya and all of her magnificent intellectual work, and Isadora too, and her magnificent work. It is, as Sly Stone says, a family affair. And that is very much so. Of course, I can't proceed without acknowledging the death of the great Harry Belafonte. Graduate of Columbia Law School, one of the most distinguished graduates of this law school. I could just see Harry with his magnificent smile. He was my dear brother for 40 years, traveled all over the world together. He was in the apartment on 72nd Street, Broadway. And he used to say, Paul Robeson gave me backbone. Martin Luther King nourished my soul. I think about that in regard to this text. Because our dear brother is third wave critical theory. First wave, hit a block, Adorno, not a lot of light available, modification, saturating every nook and cranny, bureaucratization, saturating every attempt to engage in opposition against it. There is no way out with maybe a little Schoenberg atonality. And yet the insights, powerful, inescapable. Habermas, second generation, I won't say too much about you. Neo-Kantianism was weak, it's pretty sweet and Kool-Aid, but still a brilliant thinker. But the third generation, Sheila Ben Habib and Nancy Fraser and Bernard L. Harcourt, something else is going. We've got some preoccupation with concrete praxis in time and space, wrestling with new late modern and postmodern circumstances and conditions. Something else is going on. There's no accident that the starting point of my dear brother's text is the stranglehold of neo-regulatory models and administrators' state models. And in the United States, roughly between the escalating neo-fascism of a mean-spirited, cold-hearted Republican Party and its dynamic and heterogeneous social base, changing all the time. You see that with Tucker on the move. But then the milquetoast, the mediocre and hypocritical neoliberal Democratic Party with its heterogeneous, dynamic social base. Very interesting to see Brother Bernie come out so quick, endorsing Biden. Fascinating. Certain kinds of new possibilities as we begin to see, or it becomes to be able to reveal and expose how we find a new way out. Here comes a cooperative society. There is a way out outside of these two models. And I think, for me, when I think of the term cooperation, I think of Ralph Ellison's definition of jazz as antagonistic cooperation. Think of the wonderful text by Bob O'Neill, probably the best thing written on jazz in the last 25 years here at Columbia. Jazz and collage and montage and various ways in which of all turned peoples have attempted to engage in forms of resiliency and resistance. Think of the three elements of that. First one of blues. That was just the blues ain't nothing but catastrophe lyrically expressed. So as an intellectual, catastrophe becomes your object of investigation, not problem. Leave that for the professional manager. It's never been a race problem. It's been catastrophe visited upon Black people and indigenous people and Asians. It's never been a woman's problem or a trans problem. That's from the vantage point of the establishmentarian gaze. These catastrophes visit upon these people. So to reduce the catastrophic to the problematic is already a move for the professional managerial class to have these problems that they can manage. But it's not like that. At all. Catastrophe has all these different levels: ecological, nuclear, economic, social, psychic, cultural. And then the question becomes, is there really a way out? Here comes the Harcourt. Praxis. What am I to do? What are we to do? Given all of the sophisticated intellectual weaponry that we can cultivate over time and space, in the end, what kind of courage are we going to exert given the structures of conformity and complacency and cowardliness that shot through most of the professional managerial class in all of its various forms? Let's see the granddaughter of Stanley Cavell, who's here. Did you know that? Sister Liza, where's Sister Liza? Just raise your hand, Sister Liza. Give it, just what I want. But when I hear Stanley's name, Brother John Reichman knows our book, Post-Analytic Philosophy. We couldn't write that book or work on that book without Stanley being in. Why? Because he cut against the conformity. He's Emersonian. He cuts against the cowardliness. He's Emersonian. He cuts against the complacency. Secular Jewish with a progressive twist. Not just in Brooklyn, he's from Atlanta. Meaning what? Meaning that catastrophe in all of its various forms, blues-like. This book is blues-like. One of the high moments is a conversation between Angela Davis, student of Adorno, physically, personally, in the room, in the classroom in Germany. And where Angela ends up with her abolition and the cooperation. Fascinating juxtaposition, because there's significant overlap, and you make that point. But her notion of abolition is our hey bomb. It's not just doing away. Negation, preserving the best, transformation, and being honest about just how grim things are in order to be revitalized in one's courageous attempt to keep track of these cooperative movements and manifestations. I'll bring this to a close quickly. Second element, swing, different conceptions of temporality and historicity so that you have ways in which you can authorize a different future. That's what swing is. Duke Ellington said, I want to make life swing, not just the music swing. I want my life to swing. I can't deal with these truncated forms of normativity. I can't deal with these ugly forms that create certain conceptions that don't allow me to think outside of the box and live outside the box and experience forms of temporality that are different than just those C chords. I want flat notes. I want to be on top of the note. I want to be beneath the note. Okay, Aretha. Okay, Nina Simone. We understand what you're. But then improvisation, not as just an artistic skill, but a species of phonesis, a form of practical wisdom and practical judgment that allows you to be coalitional, open to relating to other oppressed people, dealing with the powers that be in all of its various sites where its powers operate. And I want to end with Lenin's challenge to you. Remember Lenin's two wonderful essays on cooperation. And I'm not used to invoking Lenin because I come out of the Council Communist movement, which was Rosa Luxemburg, Soviets without Bolsheviks, which is Gorder, which is Panico, which is A.J. Musty here in America, Sinclair Drake here in America, the American Workers' Party of 1936, that lasted a few weeks before our fellow Trotskyites took it over. But that was workers' organization, it was worker cooperatives, it was worker councils, radical democracy without the professionals coming in and dictating and telling the everyday people what they ought to do. But Lenin still had insight to this challenge. And it says, anybody who talks about cooperation, there's a sense in which they're retreating from class struggle. They've almost given up on winning class struggle. The power of capital is too overwhelming. Let's create some interstices. Let's create some countervailing sites. But in the end, we can't win class struggle. These folk are gangsters. They'll crush our leaders. Paul Robeson was under house arrest for 21 years on 4645 Walnut Street, living in his sister's house, and his best friend, W.B. Du Bois, in 30 Grace Place in Brooklyn, living under the same conditions. These are some gangster folk. The FBI and CIA are serious. How are we going to win that? Lenin said, that's part of the challenge you have to have. But the other challenge Lenin said was what? Militarism and imperialism around the world. Cooperation discourse can easily become so domestic and even Eurocentric, not Eurocentric, US-centric, or tied to various nation states, the 190-some nation states in the world, and not really want to come to terms with empire. Amazing, 68 empire in the history of the species of the United States, or the Chinese empire, or the Russian empire, or the Indian empire, got more population than China in a few weeks. And Lenin is right about it. So that the shadow of Adorno still, even in this magnificent text, written by this wonderful brother, my brother,